Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. In case there's anyone that we haven't met yet, my name is Tim Selden, the Montessori Foundation, on behalf of John, Kate, and the school. And Kate, I see you're there. Is there anything you want to do to get us started?
Oh, just thank you for hosting this meeting. And yeah, I appreciate this for the past few months. And we welcome this discussion today. Right now I'm starting out en route. Like I'm not at home, but but I'm here.
And I'm
Okay.
here.
So thank you.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Teresa and Lacey and Amber.
Well, good. Well, I think we're a couple of minutes over the time, so we'll go ahead and get started. And I've got it set up so that if anyone gets knocked out, they can rejoin without me having to pay attention. For those of you who are eating dinner or cooking dinner, I completely understand. I
That's what I was
scrambled.
just doing, so I'm sorry I'm late.
I was scrambling myself to eat dinner with Joyce and the dogs before this meeting. So anyway, the purpose of this meeting is just to carry on what we've been doing before, which is let's talk about how things are going. What do you notice? What do you appreciate? What do you wish? Those kinds of things. So this is a community meeting. It is part of the process of trying to, feel the pulse of the school. We're looking at it from many different angles, from classroom observations to looking at, the school's dreams and strategic plan and all kinds of different things. And this is a very important part, which is what do the people of the school have on their minds? So, open forum. I am recording. I will do a transcript, and as I've done before, I will share the key things that are discussed and addressed here tonight with the whole community. So, who would like to start? What's going on as we approach the end of the year?
Well, I was just going to say we've had some um, disappointments, I guess, with admissions, although we're okay, but like it seems like we've had some hits and misses. We've had a lot of tours, and then like for example, today we started the day feeling a little discouraged because a family that toured who I guess had Montessori experience chose the other, they went with Peoria Academy, and I think the father was very much like impressed by what Peoria Academy had to say about, we strive for academic excellence, and he's really interested in that. And so, yeah, I guess that's on my mind, and I do appreciate like what you've been saying, Tim, about how we need to stress to incoming potential families that we're a unique place that also, um, you know, is a place where children are going to be very academically successful and pushed and challenged. So, anyway, that's just something that's on my mind today.
Cool. Can we, does anyone have any thoughts about what the true differences would be between your school and, let's say, Pure Academy?
Anybody else? Just that it's bigger and shinier, more money, for one thing.
Bigger, shinier, more money, more facilities, presumably, more
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
All right, so if someone chooses you, they're obviously not going for the size, they're going for boutique. But what is the difference? Because when you really get down to it, whether you're in a school of 1,000 kids or a home school or a school of 10 kids or 50 kids, it's really all about children and their connection to their five best friends and their connection to their teacher. It's all about very personal relationships. So what's the real difference?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Hector. I'm Haley's husband. One of the main things, and I gotta be honest, and plain, no sugarcoating, I think is the facilities. We honestly prefer the quality. The reason we chosen Montessori over Peoria Academy is because we believe in Montessori better, but we have seen both places.
Mhm.
And it's a reality that the first impression sometimes hits hardest. And when you walk both facilities, there is a big difference. And again, I want to reiterate that we purposely chosen Montessori because we like the methodology, but that's a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
that's
also
that's
saw the quality of teaching in the
Yeah,
classroom when we came for our tour.
yeah, I think that the quality of teaching is better than Montessori, but when
Mhm.
you're walking and touring, the first impression is definitely
Mhm.
is big.
And
yeah.
in addition to the size of the student body,
But again, the quality of Montessori and the quality of the teachers, and it's just we prefer Montessori.
like both excellent, both very different, so they each have a differentiator in terms of the academic experience or the learning experience. Um, but yeah.
These are very important points. So not everyone is going to choose one over the other because different things appeal to different people. And let's face it, most people are impressed with cathedrals, not little, neighborhood churches. Um, so it's all about what do you want as a family? And as a school, how do you find families that will love you for what you are? The other thing is, you have been bigger in the past than you are today. And the only reason you shrank is the church you were in decided they were going to use their space for themselves, not for you. So you got to go scramble and you found a place, and it's okay. On the other hand, we know that you'd like something more, better, and different. So this is not necessarily what you're going to be with for the rest of your life. The question is, what would you do if money was available? What would you do? No thoughts.
I think
This is,
go
oh,
ahead,
go
Melissa.
ahead. I was just gonna say, if money is no option, I think kind of addressing some of those things that were brought up by Hector and Haley of, could we find something a little bigger, maybe a little shinier? I know talking to some of my circle, just being able to see long term that your student, like that your kids can stay somewhere. And I know that there's a lot of work going on with, developing, the seventh, eighth grade program and stuff, but kind of showing that, the school can grow as your kid grows, and kind of seeing that, we have space and we have, that there, would just be kind of wonderful. And I think maybe the sooner we could find a space that could kind of address, the things that keep coming up with each of these meetings would be wonderful.
Well said. I agree with you, Melissa. So we have to keep looking for more, better, and different. I see that Amber Chapman just put something in the chat. She says, I just spoke to a Montessori preschool teacher today who stated the school she works at, which is about 45 minutes away from the Montessori school, Peoria, closed its doors today after 40 years. So I think it's very important to realize that long run schools can close at any point. I would have to say they don't normally close overnight. I think what happened in that school is they knew they were going to close and they didn't bother to tell people till the last second. Um, However, the point that's been made, I think, by you, Melissa, which is, we've talked about this before, it really requires courage and action. We have to get moving to get the school from where it is to where it could be. And I think it's hard when you're this small and basically you've got the leaders of the school of the three people in the office, two of them are really in the classroom. There's not a lot of time in the day to be a leader. And that is a challenge, which is why I think you asked for help from the foundation. And we're certainly trying to help you, but it also takes a lot of the energy of those of you who are parents. Like Haley, I know you've suggested a possible facility to expand to at the synagogue. Uh, Melissa, if I remember correctly, was it you that took me around looking at different buildings in the town? I mean, there are things out there. You just have to keep looking until the right thing comes along.
Just as far as our facility goes, I'd like to add that I think we do a really good job of using the space that we do have available to us. It might not give a great first impression, but once people are in the, you know, are attending and inside the school, then I think they come to realize that we're utilizing what we have very well. And then our neighborhood and our area where the school is located is a good advantage to the school, I think. So there are some things that are very positive about our location as well as some things we need to, of course, expand and, need a bigger space. But in the meantime, we do have some very good points in our favor where we are.
Well, one of the things I think I said to you at an earlier meeting is we have to remember that in the history of the world, the greatest teachers didn't have any fancy facilities. Jesus had the hills. Um, Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, they had, basically a porch, the
Right.
woods, fields. You know, it really doesn't, these facilities that we think of as a school are not traditionally what schooling was all about. Was designed in the United States to basically produce factory workers. And this whole idea of academic rigor is not really the kind of rigor that people of wealth and high education would normally choose. A really good college prep school is maybe big, it may have great facilities, but it's really about the quality of the teaching and the quality of the thinking that ultimately pays off. So I just want to acknowledge that, I look at your facilities and I definitely scratch my head and say, oh boy, we can do better than this. I appreciate, Teresa, what you said, which is, you do a damn good job with what you got. And that's true. You do. Um, I saw in the chat, Melissa, you asked, what are the pros and the cons of the properties that have been looked at so far? John, Kate, do you want to address that?
Um, uh, I mean, the space is either too old, not in the right location, or I mean, we haven't really looked at very many spaces. We looked at the Peoria Flag building on Glen, and it's, I mean, an old warehouse essentially, and would have cost substantial amounts to get that to be where it can be beautiful and functional for us. That's been the main thing I think is just the amount of work that would go into a space.
Well, we also
Um,
looked, Haley introduced us to the synagogue. We
mhm.
we went over there and we looked, Kate and Haley and I, and what we saw was it was definitely a little shinier, but it was small. Classrooms were about half the size of your current classrooms, but it was a really nice people, nice facility other than the classrooms were small. We've also looked at something near the airport that had potential because it was owned by the city. And the city is definitely seems to be interested in finding a tenant. has a lot of space, 20,000 some square feet, but it's a long ways away.
Hmm.
So we've been,
Right.
and then you used 13-acre property that was really a residence.
Yeah, it's always kind of, it seems like it's always, there's a combination of factors, there's the size of each room and then the size of the overall building. Maybe if it's on any, whether or not if it's on any green space or close to a outdoor type of space. And then the cost of what it would be to upgrade that existing structure.
Mhm.
Yeah, lack of any outdoor space or
Location.
green space is also a big factor with a lot of these properties.
Yeah. Haley just put in the chat that with the synagogue, they have a series of pretty small classrooms, but they could potentially be opened up. And they could. That was something I was looking at. The real issue is there aren't that many of them. The actual total amount of square feet is pretty limited. It looked to me like it maybe 6,000 square feet of classrooms, maybe, um, which is the equivalent of about maybe 4 classrooms. Um, and they're just, it could work. It would be basically a satellite campus, but the cost to go through cinder block is not inconsiderable to produce an
Right.
opening of that. But it's certainly something that I said we ought to at least talk about.
And that would
I
be a secondary location, like you said. So it's not even, we're not quite full where we are, so we're not really even ready for that yet. But
Well, I mean, truthfully, a lot of times schools like yours open up a second location and they grow into it. So for that to work, there's the issue of the startup cost to set up and the cost of the rent when you don't have the students to support it. But I definitely, that is one way that people do it is
right.
if, for example, if the congregation said, gosh, we really would love to work with you long term and we'll make it possible for you to do this, that's a possibility. It wouldn't be my first choice, but it's a choice. I mean, it's certainly an attractive facility. I liked it a lot in terms of the
It
look
is
of it.
pretty, and it's somewhat central in Peoria. I think it's not as big as you think, Tim. I'm not sure. And the blueprints, I have to apologize. I believe that it's my fault. I blame myself. She sent the blueprints and I failed to send them on to Sarah Freeman to actually check on the actual square footage. But I don't think it's that big. It's just not that big.
I think you're right, Kate, because my memory is those classrooms looked like they were somewheres in the 500 to 800 square feet, possibly on the smaller side. And I
Yeah.
only remember 6 of them plus their boardroom, which obviously they're thinking that that's something they don't want to rent out. So that would
Right.
only be like 3 classrooms, which again is it's not impossible. Expanding by 3 classrooms of 25 kids is, not bad if the congregation wanted you bad enough that they made it possible. Um, Haley is saying they would be willing to negotiate dismantling the boardroom for your information. Thanks, Haley. Again, I think, from my experience, when you get a nice group of people who have a space that they don't really know what to do with, sometimes you can work a deal. And
Mhm.
that's certainly something I would explore if I were you. But it's not, I get that it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But what we know now is if you used every square foot of what you've got at the current church, how many additional children could you accommodate?
Yeah, I think we could squeeze in, 10 to 15 more students.
Well, that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Again, I would tell you that every single school, I'm sure if we got into the history of Peoria Academy, you would find that they started with a relatively small group of kids and they grew over time. So the issue is at this moment in time, they look much better than you do. in my eye, when I drove by them, I said, "Oh, I don't think so." Um, and it's all in the eye of the beholder. I don't live in your town, but that's not what I consider a serious facility. On the other hand, it's more than you got. So the issue is, what would you like, and how do you get from where you are to where you'd like to get? And I really appreciate Teresa saying, let's appreciate what we've got. Let's not get all Debbie Downer about it's not all bad. It just could be better. I will say that one of the things that I saw in your classrooms, especially in upper elementary and the beginning of the middle, that's really an outstanding program. Kudos to you, John. I would send my kid there. It's small, but that's a hell of a good education.
Thank you, Tim.
I
All the
I
rest of
will
you should come and visit upstairs. Sorry, go ahead,
it,
Amber.
I will say upstairs is pretty amazing. I was just up there a few weeks ago, and yeah, the environment is very welcoming. And the colors are just so fun. But in speaking a little bit towards like social media side of things, I know that's something that's in the works for the future is more marketing, more content, making that available so that people are aware of what to expect before they come for a tour. I think that's very important. I'm in a lot of community groups on social media. So it's very easy to type in keywords like MSP Montessori and see what comes up and see what people say. There definitely are great parents in here who will advocate for the teaching and the education that happens in the classroom. But there are definitely a lot of posts of parents saying it was an immediate no as soon as they walked into the building, which then costs a waste of time for not only the families, but then also the staff who are already balancing a lot of different hats. So I think, yeah, going forward, I know there's a huge potential there of just the awareness of what's happening in the classrooms and what to expect of the school, I think will be a help towards people before they reach out and come to the school.
I will say, sorry, and I feel like a boomer sometimes when it comes to technology. I will say when you do, like, for example, on Facebook, if you go and do, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, search for Montessori or like, I don't know if it's the hashtag, whatever. There are some negative reviews about other schools, and then no, I should say when you go and when you look for our school, sometimes there's a negative review. It's not about our school. It's about some other Montessori school, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
Just so you know.
these are like within the past month.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
So,
Um,
and I mean, they say Montessori School of Peoria. It's not tagged, but I'm not aware of what other school is currently open. So you can filter when you do searches. So you can do like most recent. So you can see recent feedback.
okay.
I think one of the things I would encourage is in your small community, you've got people like you, Amber, who are in groups, know a little bit about this. And again, as you said, one, you can't make the church something it isn't. So there are people who are going to walk in there and say, "Ah, hard no." On the other hand, what you can do is use the assets you've got and think about, well, what is it we value? What is it we appreciate? And if I don't know what you folks think, but from my experience, we're usually torn. Part of me says stay, part of me says there's got to be something better than. And it's just part of the normal process from my experience of people, looking at, what are the choices out there for us and are we doing the right thing for our kid and how can we make it better? Is this ever going to get better? And I assure you, every school goes through the same journey. This is not unique to Montessori School Peoria, but it is important to move. And I think it's important to use the people of the school. So those of you who are willing to advocate or tell the story or help the small administrative team, leverage, what they don't have time for, what they don't have expertise for, you know, The typical 14-year-old knows more about promotion of an idea these days than the average 30-year-old, right? And forget the 40-year-old. So telling the story is important.
Can you ask that again?
Yeah, I think what I was saying, Amber, is focusing, getting the people of the school instead of waiting for John and Kate or Mary to do it. You know, those of you who are willing and able, who have knowledge of, you're part of a group, you know how to say something, you know how to tell a story, or you know, get the word out. Just whatever you can do, it all helps. The other thing is, from my experience, letting people know what you're trying to accomplish. You are a charity. There probably are people out there who would love to help you in some way, shape, or form if they knew you had a need. If they don't know you're looking, like if you put the word out, Montessori School of Peoria, small facilities, great, great ideas, big ideas. We are looking for a new home. We love our church. We'll probably always hang on to the church because it makes a great second location. But we're looking for another place in addition to. If you know something great, let us know. Whether it's, whatever it is. I think the more people get involved in at least looking and getting the word out that, our school would really like to expand again.
Yeah, and maybe Tim, if you can help us with some actual steps to take in terms of like forming a group or a task force or whatever you want to call it, because sometimes it can get a little hairy when everyone's inundating us with Zillow listings or whatever. But it's like, I want people's input as well.
Well, just
So
share the Zillow listing with me, and
okay,
I'll do an evaluation of whether it's likely to work. That's one of the
sure.
things I do is figure out, is a piece of real estate likely to be able to be used as a school, and how would you financially get from here to there? For
Yeah.
example, my son right at the moment, who's, kid in his 40s, would like to acquire a school that's going to probably cost, I don't know, 5 million bucks. And he just doesn't have that kind of money. He's really very similar to you, John and Kate. And yet he will probably pull this off. It's all about knowing how to pull the right levers and having the dream. So he'll probably end up with 20, 30 acres and about 25,000 square feet of buildings that are really designed for a school. It will not, it will not be on the main drag, but it will be accessible enough that, they'll probably end up with a couple hundred kids. And trust me, that's not the end game. That's the second step. Again, I would like to see you all start looking harder, dreaming bigger, realizing it's all possible. It's just a question of, do you really want it? And it won't come tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. It will take time, and there will be some people that will stay and some people that will, move on and choose something else before it comes to be. But the bottom line is the school is bigger than any of us, and it will live on. And by the way, it's almost unheard of for a Montessori school to close. The one um, that closed, I hadn't heard the story yet. Usually I'm the first person that hears these things, but it's very, very rare for a Montessori school to close down. Usually that's because it was run as someone's private business and they just get tired and they decide to close it down. And that's kind of a shame, but it does happen sometimes.
Question. I had posted a comment earlier on in our discussions about hearing feedback. I was kind of expecting for this being the end of the year, kind of a wrap up of feedback from what has been discussed, kind of behind the doors from the parents of what has happened this past year and what to expect going forward.
So Amber, I think you're asking a question or a request of the group, right?
Correct. It's not really directed at anyone. It's not necessarily you answer. It could be one of the other staff members, but I know you've done a lot. You've gone into the classrooms, you've sat in the office, you've talked with John and Kate a lot, you've maybe talked with some of the other teachers. And you're recording these conversations too. What comes of that?
Oh, thank you. First off, Amber, I apologize. I didn't see your original comment in the chat. I see it now. Probably I'm not the right person to speak first, but I'm more than happy to share what my observations are as well. John and Kate, you are being asked a question by Amber. I don't know if you can see it in the chat. Basically, what's changed since you got involved with me? Or what have I been saying? What have you learned?
I'm not sure what's changed, but we've definitely learned some of the strengths and weaknesses of our community. One thing that has changed is that we've been meeting with you all and getting feedback, and that's a new thing for us. And we really like that. We're hoping that you all are feeling more connected to the need for our school to grow, and hopefully taking some ownership of that with us. We definitely have understood our need for increasing our marketing. I think we've just gotten to know our school a little bit better from different points of view. But I'm not sure if I could say that much has really changed yet, but I mean, that's all steps towards future growth, hopefully. Am I missing something, Kate?
No, I mean, I would agree with everything you said. And just add to it that, I guess on a somewhat personal level or a more of a from the leadership point of view, it's been incredibly important that Tim has listened to our challenges these past few months and given us some perspective because, like he just said, some people decide, okay, this is too hard. I'm going to throw in the towel. And I am here to tell you that I've been close to that more than once. So, it's incredibly important that the leadership of this school feels like what they're doing is important and of value. And it's one of those jobs where, sorry, I'm going to get emotional. I mean, thank goodness I do work with the children every day because they're so rewarding to work with. But just running a school is very exhausting. And so having his perspective on what we're doing has been invaluable because he's just encouraging us to keep going and like how to maybe keep going. And again, yeah, I think that this is like the first phase of our relationship with Tim in terms of learning about our school and like now we can sort of take some more action. But like I said, feeling that support and that perspective has been very, very important to
For
me
sure.
and therefore to all of you.
For sure. I would agree. From a school systems point of view, I'm not sure a lot has changed yet, but from this perspective of Kate and I as the leaders, how we approach this work and how we're dealing with different challenges that has changed for the better. Just using Tim's wisdom and how he's coached us through some different things. But we are looking forward to kind of streamlining the admissions process with his help. And yeah, hopefully finding a new space that hasn't changed yet, but we hope that some of that momentum is spread out to some of you.
One of the things that hopefully has changed, and Mary, you can speak to this if you're still online, is I've encouraged John and Kate to use Mary more and to also try to develop more people, volunteers who can help out. Because one of the things that I noticed is, again, they're in the classroom. Kate is not supposed to be in the classroom in theory. She is a full-time administrator, but in reality, she's a teacher. And I think that has been very tiring for you, and it's also been very rewarding. And I've encouraged you to just keep doing it. So, I mean, I think the bottom line is you're currently small enough that many times you get this kind of very thin administrative team, and there are ways to work with that. And one of the ways is, structure it so that you've got the people, the little bit of time you've got from staff, get them really working together and working smarter so that things aren't bottlenecked. What I don't want is Kate working 7 days a week and 20 hours a day, to try to keep on top of things. We need to streamline and systematize and focus on prioritizing, looking at what worked, what didn't work. For example, you just did a gala. What worked? What didn't work? What could be done better?
Kim, if I can just jump in here, Kate, like I was in the classroom for a long, long time, and it is such a heavy or like a significant responsibility to be beholden to a group of children. And I know, at least when I was in the classroom, I, I felt I set boundaries with it for myself, but I always felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I honestly cannot fathom having an additional layer of responsibility beyond that. So, like, truly, like, my heart feels your position so deeply. And I think for those who are not aware, I previously taught at Peoria Academy. And so I've had an opportunity to be involved in, the way that things happen structurally there, and what does their gala blah, 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 their gala planning process look like. And I know that over there, all decisions functionally happen starting with the board. And so the gala, I don't think any faculty member is involved in that process at all. It's handled exclusively by the board. And so it removes that responsibility from the faculty and allows them to be free to focus on where their greatest impact can be. And so, like, when we talk about, people getting more involved, I know that the board has a direct personal stake in the future of the school. And so involvement is non-negotiable because of how structurally things are set up. And I honestly, I'm still so new in Montessori that I have a lot to learn about how we're structured. But I wonder if we were to look at our structure and ask ourselves, have we set things up in a way that incentivizes involvement and entrenches it so that it's not something that we continuously have to reinvent the wheel on, but it's baked into how we operate? So I don't know what that might look like for us, but I know we've had conversations and we've got people, I'm sure some of them are sitting in this room who said, we'll work the phones, we'll plan the gala, we'll do all of the things. And I wonder how what the opportunities might be for us to build around something that would shift responsibility from our very wonderful, but also very responsibility heavy school team right now. So,
Yep. Any other thoughts along that line? Well,
I
not
think
hearing any go ahead.
I feel bad. I keep seeing Laura, other people go off mute, and I don't want to cut anybody off, but I do think we have a strong parent group that is very willing and desires to help. We There just needs to be a little bit more guidance because the energy the emails circulate, and then there's no formal plan. So then at that point it dies off. So I think once the momentum starts, we just need the good structure to keep it going, because the passion is definitely there from the parents.
Thank you, Amber. Just if going back to something you asked earlier, which is what are my observations? My observations are pretty simple. At about 50 some kids, you're too small, but it is sustainable. But clearly that's what I would call flying a plane at treetop level. So you want to grow. And the school, before the former church asked you to leave because they wanted to use it, you were at about 100. And based on what I can see with Peoria, there's no reason why your school isn't at 150 to 250 students. Secondly, your tuition, to be honest, is really, really bargain basement, one of the lowest in the state. Um, Going price nationally is about 1,500 a month, um, which is what, 50% more than you're charging now. And I have no power. I'm not telling you that that's what you got to do. I'm just saying your school is operating with a very thin margin financially without any real outside support. Out of curiosity, I'd love to know what Peoria Academy is charging. Because one of the issues is, do you wait until you're big and fancy to get the money you need per student to operate, or do you operate on a shoestring? There is no wrong answer because you are paying your bills. It's not like you're going into debt. Now, I appreciate the fact that there's frugality, there's careful financial stewardship, but you are operating on a thin margin, which makes it difficult to expand to another campus or to grow. Third thing I noticed in the meetings that I've held, if you go back and you look at the notes, I've heard some really, really great thoughts about what you value about the school. Now, I've been in this business long enough to know that the same person who, on the one hand, can wax eloquent about what the school has done for their child or is doing for their child today, can also have thoughts about, is there something more that my child needs that maybe I should choose? In other words, love and confusion, or the struggle, the tension, is pretty normal. But I've heard incredibly kind, thoughtful things. So I really agree with what you said, Amber. I think there's a lot of really positive energy in the parent body. I've met a number of you that, in whether in a meeting where you're just gathered together with me and I'm just watching your body language, listening to your words and recording it, or whether meeting with you one-on-one, there's absolutely really good, thoughtful, intelligent parent energy, and that needs to be harnessed. The challenge is, Kate, you don't have the time. John, you don't have the time. You're not going to be the one harnessing it. So we got to figure out how do you guide this energy in such a way that people don't end up taking the school over a cliff or getting the school into trouble. On the other hand, you can't be the one guiding them. You need to, kind of like the children, got to kind of trust in the process. And again, that may be one area where from afar, I may be able to be of some limited help. So anyway, I've heard really nice things. I mean, you go back to the notes of the first two meetings, which I'm happy to pull up again and reshare. You really said nice things about your school. And I saw they were consistent with what I heard from the teachers and what I heard from the children and what I saw in the classroom. I think your school is small, but I also think it's a very nice school.
I'm thinking about the gala that you mentioned, and I just want to say that I thought it was absolutely fabulous, and the parents did a great job putting it together. And one of the highlights was that video that Amber you did, which was just I I still love it. I just love it. So I can't wait to see it again. I think that's great. And talking about, the marketing, I think that was a real just perfect for that.
Thank you, Teresa. That's really important. I heard that it was really a nice event. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there.
It was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Can
think,
can I use that segue to jump in on just a comment I've had a long time ago? I think so. Yes, the video was so lovely, and I'm sorry, I don't even remember where I heard this conversation. Uh, I'm sorry, I don't remember saying, does that little boy have a crush on that little girl? No, that's just how everyone treats each other in Montessori. And that was so dear to me. Like the I forgot how precious the sweetness is that we have and that it's unusual. But so what I think that goes back to is your comment of storytelling, that getting the story out in story form, that is where the drama is, that pulls in the like, this is who we are, this is where we've come from. And when I'm one of those, I came to the school at some point and went, oh dear, that is a dark pokey hall, oh dear. But I remember Mary's expression too. When I saw those hoses hooked up to those sinks, I thought they are scrappy. And I think that that's the story of the hopes and the underdogness and the coming alive. And Amber, your beautiful telling of that through the kids themselves, which you're not speaking for them, they are speaking for themselves. That is a pivotal thing. And we can, I think that, I've been around now long enough that I know more of the story, but having even in the handouts or in the information that is given to parents, some history and some storytelling of identity forming right from the beginning gives that. So I just think that storytelling can't be underestimated. That's my full stop right there.
Couldn't agree with you more. What is there's a marketing book based on story. I'm trying to remember the name. I'm going blank on it at the moment. Storyworth, something like that. You're absolutely right. All great marketing is about telling a true, sincere story. And there's no better people to tell that story than the children because they live it every day. And that's certainly what I heard when I was there in my visit, listening to kids and watching kids and asking them questions. I've still got artwork that the kids prepared for me that they had to send me home with. Um, Again, you got a really sweet school. Will it fly in Peoria? Yeah, it will. It's a pretty neat place.
Okay, I have to share a really adorable story really quickly. So I taught French class today to the lower L children, and we were talking about la maison and how, that means the house. And anyway, then we were going into a different part of it, talking about être, the verb, which means to be. Anyway, I was saying like, well, right now we're not in a house, we're in our school, which is like, à l'école. And Huxley, I'm just gonna call him out, like raised his hand and said, well, it's like our house because hopefully we're all gonna be here until we're teenagers. And I was like, thank you, Huxley. That's exactly right. That is, in a nutshell, that's exactly how we want you to feel. We want you guys to feel like this is your second home. But yeah, he just nailed it. Just had to share that.
I think you may put your finger on the real difference between a school like yours and the typical academy. They're both good schools, don't get me wrong, but an academy is normally run by a board, and it's all about a group of people who are pulling the strings. That's not bad, don't get me wrong, it's not pejorative, but it's very different from what is a Montessori community. In 1908, there was an American writer by the name of Dorothy Canfield Fisher. She happened to be living in Rome and met Montessori in that first year, 1907, when she started, took the first Montessori course, went back to the United States, opened the first school in Tarrytown, New York. But she wrote a book called The Montessori Mother. And in it, she said, I think in America, the newspapers, and Montessori was big, big news in America and England and France, all over the world at that time. Said, I think people are mistranslating the word Casa de Bambini, which is what Maria Montessori called it. She said they're calling it children's house. And it doesn't really capture it because when you hear the word house, you think of the little chairs, the little toilets, the little sinks. Really, the word casa in the Latin world can mean a house, but it also means our home. And when you look at what Montessori has built, it's a sense of family, it's a sense of comfort, of home. When you go up to John's area, it's the most obvious with upper elementary. And yes, I mean, I would love to redo the entire building to make it more home. But a home is not just furniture and beautiful wooden floors and, more light, all of which I've suggested that should be done as soon as possible. It's really about the experience people have, whatever the home looks like. And what I do see in your school is what you just described, that sense of comfort, that sense of connectedness, that sense of home. Does everyone feel it? Probably not, but I think it's pretty darn strong. And I value that. That's what I saw. And I think it's part of the story you should be telling.
Yeah, and we very much appreciate Amber's help with that video too. It was just beautiful, and we just want to do more. And I don't want to burn her out, but like yeah, we'd love to tell more of that story using that particular medium too, because it like you guys said, the children were telling it in their own words.
Well, I do want to remind you, you've got some kids that are above the age of 10. And by the time they're that age, some of them start to become quite gifted with video.
Mhm.
And they're great storytellers. If you turn them loose with a little video camera or an iPhone and let them do some editing, watch what kind of story they tell through their own
That's right.
eyes. And that may
Mhm.
be part of what you do. I mean, I'm all in favor of Amber and anyone else who's willing to tell the story, because stories are really what it's about. And there's the experience you have as parents, but the people who are going to be your best spokespeople are the children, all of them,
Mhm.
from the littlest to the oldest. So again, I appreciate that you remember that one of the things I've been doing since I got going with you guys in January is try to push you all towards these monthly meetings. And while we may not yet be on a absolutely monthly routine, you're beginning to get the sense of what it's about. And before you know it, you'll be able to run it without me, although I'm happy to help until I'm not needed anymore. But the bottom line is this is part of the tradition of a Montessori community. Not every Montessori school does the stuff that is part of our tradition. Those tend to be the few schools that close. But this is part of the tradition. The idea of a circle of parents, teachers, administrators, board, if there is a board. I think your board's pretty small. And by the way, in my opinion, unlike the academy, I think the way it works in your school is it's as if you get a board made up of the parents. Whoever's hungry cooks. That idea of partnership community, including the kids, by the way, is really important to the kids. And the other thing I said to you the other night when we were talking, John and Kate, is only do those things that give you pleasure and enjoy them for what they are. You may not raise a lot of money doing a gala, but if it feels like an expression of what the school is, that's great. But work smart. Don't exhaust yourselves. Work in such a way that you throw a party that everyone enjoys. You don't want to be the person who spends 3 days in advance of Thanksgiving to throw a party and doesn't even get a chance to eat the turkey. Anyone else got any thoughts, any comments, reflections you want to share?
I wonder if it's possible when we do board meetings just to send around like, what are your random skills? And have a sign up list somewhere of people's random skills that they could be called upon under duress just for the fun of it. um, I don't know, just to pull the skills that we do have and I love that invitation to use the kids because I mean maybe the kids won't volunteer, but parents can tattle on them and tell what they're good at.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Lara. Thank you. One of the things you could do is just invite people whenever you're gathered, um, to just put into the chat, I really have a love for raising goats, or I've got a farm, or I've got, I'm pretty good with social media, or whatever it is. I teach dance. Um, Haley makes soap. There are all kinds of things you can do. And
We have
just do you have it?
that feature in our new application for enrollment, and actually, it's been on there for a while. And one year, someone wrote that their skill was juggling, and I thought that was great. I regret we didn't use that parent skill.
Yeah, you teach the kids how to juggle.
Yeah.
If you guys think of what you've got as something like a parent co-op, a micro school, you're homeschooling, but you're not at home. You've got helpers who are taking care of the kids during the day. The idea of a circle of equals where you and your children, some of whom are very small, but they're going to get bigger really quickly. The idea of a circle of equals, in my opinion, is probably the model that I sense is the right one for your school. And I used to run a school of 500 children, and we did that from toddlers through high school, a circle of equals. There was a board, but the board did very little. It was basically all of us. We talked things through together. The board just rubber stamped it for the law. It's
Hmm.
really, I think the goal is to invite people to the table. And again, it's like Amish barn building. If everyone shows up, it's light work.
Well, I think that's what we would like to be doing. Like that's what we're trying to do. It's just that, everybody else has a full-time job too, and we all those of us that are there every day, we every day see what needs to be done. So I don't know, it's kind of tricky. For example, the playground needs some attention. And yes, we can talk to the church about it, but um yeah, there are some things that we see on a daily basis, like I said, that I don't know. I know that everyone else has their own, I know that people want to be involved, but I also know that everyone's busy. So
Yeah, I think
it's
Well,
we
hard.
would love to have a monthly circle meeting with the community. We still feel like asking people to come even tonight, it feels like we're asking them to do us a favor. And maybe none of you felt like that. And if that's the case, that's wonderful. But we do feel like asking everybody to meet is we're asking you to
Do
we're
something.
inconveniencing you.
Yeah.
But if we got the sense that the community wanted to do a monthly meeting or something like that, and we like getting together like this and sharing our concerns and problem solving together, that would be great.
there's another way of holding that, John, which is you do it because you need to do it, and you don't make people feel guilty if they don't show up. And they
Mhm.
just know, like the library is open these hours and if they show up, they show up. And if they don't, it's
Mhm.
okay. You
Yeah,
show up.
Mhm.
yeah,
But it has to be like clockwork. I think those
sure.
willing need to keep discussion open throughout the summer. I agree with you, Amber. You definitely need to, again, don't wait on John and Kate. Don't create a palace coup either. I mean, the goal is you're all in it for the sake of the children. And will the app still be available over the summer? Amber, which app? Are you talking about the Montessori Family Alliance?
No, but that is something we can introduce. But the MSP app, that's a good question, Amber. Yeah, I don't know, probably, but we'll find out. I do want to meet over the summer with anyone who wants to, because if you saw in the newsletter, as we approach our 50th year, we want to think about strategically, messaging that and possibly doing some rebranding, possibly even looking into changing aspects of our school identity, like our logo or things like that. So if we'd like to have people on board with being part of those discussions. So yeah, we'll definitely want to meet over the summer with anyone who wants to.
And we are going to be at the farmers market downtown at least a handful of times.
Two different weeks.
Okay, only two. Well, anyway. So we'd love anyone to show up there if they can.
Looking those dates up now.
Um,
The 6th, so pretty soon. And then on the 11th of July. So June 6th and July 11th,
so
most
we'll,
people have a tent at the Riverfront Market. We'd love people to come sit with us.
and
I
again,
would,
yeah, go ahead.
no, finish your thought, Kate. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I know like one of the things that I always ask you is sort of like, what steps should we be taking next? Because, I do feel like it's kind of like what Amber said, like, what's the plan? Like, what is the plan? And I, I feel like maybe if we just set some meetings now or like schedule some meetings, then we can stay on track. Sarah mentions in the comment section consistency beats out intensity every time. And yeah, I mean, maybe if we just consistently keep meeting, then we can all together come up with the steps that we need to take to move our school forward.
Do y'all want to put in the chat what times of the day you all like? Do we prefer in person, remote? One thing we definitely have wanted to avoid is feeling like things are going on behind closed doors. Amber, you referred to that idea earlier, and certainly there are discussions that Kate and I have as the heads of school and that we might have with Tim that are just for us, but mainly those are kind of more on like how we're handling things. But we want to be, accessible. We don't want, there's no information we want to keep from you all. So the more we can meet and discuss things, the better.
Sarah's suggesting that the best thing might be maybe a blended meeting where you those who are able meet in the school or meet wherever you're going to meet, and then you broadcast it so that people can also meet online. To do that, by the way, one of the schools I work with is Magnolia Montessori in New Jersey, and they're a school about the same size as yours. They're pretty small. What they did is they bought what's called an owl. An owl is like a TV camera, but like an owl, it can rotate 360 degrees, and it has a directional microphone and a directional camera. And so you use it in a room with people who are physically present. You have to have a big TV that everyone can see. And in that way, the people that are physically in the room can, as they're speaking, their picture shows up on the screen. Anyway, look up an owl video, like the bird, and cheap TV and a little cheap, video camera and a laptop, and you're in business to do what are called blended meetings, where you have people physically present and people that are coming in from wherever they are.
Sure. We'll just need somebody to help us, one of you all or someone else to help us set that up.
Not hard. That's one of the things I can help you with if necessary. Uh, One of the other things that I saw in the chat was Amber, I think, said the later the better. Amber, can you speak to that for a minute? My guess is Amber is currently putting a kid to bed, which is normally what happens. I mean, this is only, we started what, 5:45 at your end?
hmm
Uh, Dinner bedtime chaos, but I'm here Yeah, exactly what most families live with at this time of night. One thing you could do is provide childcare for families at the school. That's what some people do. And they have a potluck dinner. That's what we did at Barry. The other option, of course, is you do them online. The other is you can alternate or you can do the blended meetings. They all
Mhm.
work.
For that next meeting, John and Kate, I know like a few ideas of the types of support that would be most valuable have been tossed around here. I wonder if we set like a goal or like a specific topic for discussion for that meeting, what would that be? And just throwing out there that based on what I'm hearing, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be for both of you to take and just a possibility. So really for you to decide if it would make sense or if there's something more important. But for you both to come up, take the month to meditate on if there are specific things that you would appreciate being able to delegate responsibility to a member of the community for. I know you mentioned marketing and, social media and things like that. Um, I wonder if that wouldn't be a useful step for us is to establish what would be the most valuable use of our time and like what topic would we want to focus on and how and in the meantime we can all if we know what the thing is that we want to discuss, then we can all orient ourselves toward thinking about what tools we have in each of our packs to be able to pitch in and help out.
Yeah, totally. That would be amazing. I can definitely come up with some like things that off the top of my head right now. Um, Beautification of the classrooms downstairs, like Tim was mentioning, and some sort of like handyman type things. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are other things that need to take priority too, like marketing. So
Mhm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So one of the things we recommend is you create a shared Google Doc and invite the people of your community and your teachers to be able to share it, where anyone can add a topic to the agenda. And Haley, I appreciate what you're suggesting, the idea of knowing what the topic's going to be. But my experience is what usually happens is people have multiple topics. But if you know, if there's an agreement that of the things we see, can we really be sure we deal with this? This is what's most important. And what we always did with the community, I can share with you what we call the rules for community meetings, which includes the idea that there is no chair, there is no board, it's circle of equals. Anyone can raise any topic except things that are confidential. So you can't talk about an individual employee, can't talk about a child, can't talk about a parent or a family. This is not a place to have a parent conference, but any other topic like the things we've been raising can all be brought up. Uh, and the idea is that the group decides of these topics, what do we want to talk about first? And then what do we want to talk about next? And anyone could add to the agenda at any time. So the agenda is a Google Doc that anyone contributes to, and then the group decides of these topics, what do we want to focus on first? Yeah, Amber's talking about the lighting. I can't agree with you more. The lighting in the church is really troubling. I also think the floor and the colors of the walls. Little things would make the place look much better. I mean, just
We
think
did
about, go
we
ahead.
did change the lighting in the hallway. Um, it's what? It sounds silly, but it really helped a lot. It's very warm. It seems like a sunny day now down there. You should check it out, Amber. But no, that's just the hallway.
I
No, the
was I was
classrooms
just
can still
getting
be
ready to type that. I'm going to pay attention to it tomorrow.
You should. It's weird, and it really is amazing how much of a difference it made.
Well, again, timeless beauty. Go to Pinterest, look at what Montessori environment's supposed to look like, look at what you got. Don't worry about what you started with. The church is fine. It's just a canvas. What you want to do is figure out how do we make what we've got look better. It's like your first apartment when you're starting out in life, right? So just make it better. You don't need to have a multi-million dollar building to start creating timeless beauty at a higher level. And kids really love it. Kids ought to walk into school and just say, God, it is so obvious people love me. They
Mhm.
created this beauty.
Right. Yeah, I always think of it like, if you're I like to think of the children as guests in my home and like, you want them to feel special.
Nate, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Nida or Nada? But
Naida.
Nida, Nida said, can we start with beautifying the outdoor environment for our kids?
Yeah.
Again, I think you all, to me, the limits of the church are it's not yours and it is what it is, but it can be much prettier than it is today without spending a lot of money.
Hmm. We have had some amazing volunteers recently paint the benches. They used to be a little more drab. So yeah, a fresh coat of paint can go a long way for sure. And another couple, the McHenrys, they helped with the shade sail, which still needs a little attention, but they did a great first run on that.
So Sarah's got a number of things in the chat, one of which is she's talking about creating a brand guide or a brand standard, which I agree with. It's the idea of the logo, the colors, the
Yeah,
font sizes.
we have
That
all that.
do you have
We have our
all?
style guide, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I definitely would like to see a new logo personally. Not that I
Yeah, you
don't like
guys,
it.
Tim hates the Montosaurus. Sorry.
If the kids love it, great. In my opinion, a logo ought to work really well for a toddler or a high
Yeah.
schooler.
Yeah,
And it's
just
got a
so not to get into it too much, but yeah, we do feel like the red and blue and the dinosaur gives the impression that we're kind of a preschool. So we want to get away from that a little bit. That we're just a preschool, I should say.
So I see somebody created a Google table and for the agenda items or topics.
I'm
These
so
are
sorry.
all,
I meant to share that privately, and I'm just not especially Zoom savvy.
oh, don't worry, don't worry.
Okay.
Thank you. No, that's okay.
So I think here's your to-dos. One, you got to work out what day of the month. For example, first Thursday of the month, is Thursday the right day? A lot of schools do these on Thursdays or Tuesdays. So figure out the day of the week, figure out the time of day, figure out the in-person or online or blended. Work that out. Work out the childcare and the food issue. Get them scheduled and start holding them like clockwork. And my
Yeah.
advice is hold them over the summer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
And
That's always been an
and
issue
don't
that
get
summer
and
feels like, oh, go
There's
ahead.
so much of this work that's going to be going on during the summer. Sarah, to speaking to your marketing efforts that we can share out. Yes, that's all work that we just, we got all that interest at our last in-person meeting when Tim was here 3 months ago. And we've just been sitting on that because, it's just it's just on the list of all the things to do. But it's great energy and we love it and we want to use that. So we look forward to being able to maybe sit down with people over the summer or at least kind of put out a strategy.
I suspect you probably need, a website redo and just a whole bunch of different things to try to tell your story better. Story brand, by the way, is what I was trying to remember.
Hmm.
If you haven't read Story Brand, read the book Story Brand. Um, I would recommend that you meet over the summer. Do not nose count. If only 3 people show up, it was not a bad meeting. You're
Mhm.
not failing. It's just that's the people who are hungry. The people who are hungry come to the kitchen and they work together to cook. That's the way it works. And you just people have to get into the habit of knowing 7:30 at night, I'm making this up, Thursday night, third Thursday of the month, whatever, that's when we meet. And then, of course, you have to publicize not only the meeting is coming up so people remember it, not at the last minute, and you have to let people know this is what we talked about, this is what we agreed to.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And people are busy. There's no question about it. Not everyone has time. But you guys are playing around with what most people love in the world the most. A lot of emotional energy. Their children, their family, and their pocketbook. Those are 3 things that are in play. You are a private school, you're a school of choice. People are investing to be here, and it's investment that matters. This is our kids we're talking about. So, not everyone has the time. That's perfectly normal. But those people that do, we want to make it really, really easy for people to do it. And we don't want any guilt. Kate, starting with you, no guilt. You're doing the best you can. It's okay. Same thing for everyone else. You do, if you've got the energy, get involved. If you burn out, it's okay to back off. You're not, no need for any shame or apology. Just, I did what I could. Relay race. I'm handing off to someone else. As it gets bigger, it'll be easier. It's hard when you only got 50 some kids,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's okay. Think of it as the biggest homeschool you ever saw, because that's kind of what you're running. And one other thing, I mean, when you talk about a school folding, and Kate, I know you've gotten tired, but you've got 3 kids on the line, 3 amazing kids who are blossoming at your school. And this is the school that your mom helped found and where she taught and ran for years. And it's the school that you grew up at. So you could talk about giving up, but you're not giving up anymore. You give up on your kids.
No. No, I'm not.
So I
But
just,
you're making me cry again, so
I think we all need to have a
I'm a
sense of
crier. I think everyone should know by now that I'm a crier.
let's just have a sense of gratitude and appreciation for what you are and what you all have created so far, and the best is yet to come.
Agreed.
great.
Thank you. Thank you very much for putting it so
Mhm.
eloquently.
Well, I wish I could be with you for the end of school, but how are you going to wrap the school year up?
We have our recognition ceremony on Wednesday morning that we follow with our dance party, and everyone has to do the hokey pokey.
And all the kids are in the dance party
Oh, yeah.
and the parents?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody. It's the largest hokey pokey of, of all time.
Sounds to me like a tradition.
Yep. And
So
then we'll have our school picnic that night, which we've been toying with doing a potluck, but I don't know if we're gonna get that
Now,
organized.
do you all want to do a
Yeah.
potluck? And if so, I think Mary could use some help organizing it.
Of course, the Petersons say yes. We would love that. And yes, she's already asked us. Sorry, we're eating dinner. Apologize.
All right. How did Tuesdays sound for everybody? Tim, I don't want to keep you longer than we need to,
I'm
but
fine. Don't worry about me. I'm
um,
reading Sarah's latest message.
I
Go ahead.
I like Tuesdays. I'm looking at Tuesday, June 2nd for a first summer meeting. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Oh, Haley. Okay. Okay. All right.
That's okay. A little later than this, maybe, like
I mean, is 8 p.m. good? 7:30? I don't know.
Yeah,
See,
7:30.
Tuesday is good. Sounded like 8 was fine.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're getting some 7:30s. From my end, eight's fine. I mean, heck, you guys are easy. You're not like Malaysia or some of the places I help out. I don't have to get
True.
up at 4 in the morning for you.
That's true. Okay, well, we'll nail down time and
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll settle on a time and let people know. Yeah,
All
and it doesn't have
right.
to, I mean, it doesn't have to stay that way, but we can nail down the next meeting.
and maybe we will take the suggestion of sort of taking a few days to come up with a list of like top priority topics for that meeting.
Hmm.
One of the things that I see appearing in the chat repeatedly is the issue of, you know, because you guys are spread thin, John and Kate, you don't want to be the roadblock. So on the one hand, you are part of the board, you have an obligation to make sure the school operates within the law, whatever, does all the right stuff. On the other hand, you've got people that have some time and energy who could go out there and help market. And there's
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of marketing, paid marketing, guerrilla marketing. And so setting up a task force, I mean, it's real different from there was one chat we talked about when I was there last of let's go out and start hitting up the people who live on Riverside Drive, to donate to the school. That's probably not going to
And
work real well. On the other hand, getting the word out there in all kinds of ways on forums and at farmers market, you don't need to be at the farmers market. Send some parents and kids out there if the people are willing to do it. So you need to start, finding a way of getting a task forces together, and some of it will work and some of it won't. Don't you know the rule of threes in churches and synagogues? 1/3 of the population that's volunteers will show up on time and do a great job. 1/3 of the group will show up sometimes and do an okay job. 1/3 of the group won't even remember to show up. And that's okay. Just appreciate whatever anyone does.
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Thank you, Tim.
My pleasure. We hopefully have a recording. I will transcribe it. I will get it to you all. I assume you will share it out to the group and you will tell
Sure.
me more about this app that you're using. I'm not sure which app that is.
Oh, it's the One Spot app through Transparent
Oh,
Classroom.
well, sure. Yeah, that runs during the summer. Do you use
I
that
did
to
make,
communicate?
yeah, since it's tied through Transparent Classroom and the classrooms are not operating during the summer, I'll have to double check, but the app itself should work. Yeah, it should be fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, we
Just
can.
reach out to Sean and Samuel. They should be able to do that. One
Yeah.
of the other things I'm working on for the Montessori Alliance, and Haley, I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. Thank you for your feedback on the Alliance prototype. But we're trying to figure out, can we in some way facilitate conversation both within a school and beyond a school so that people can learn from other schools? So,
Hmm.
we have to figure the logistics out. We don't want any school leaders thinking we're horrible people because their parents complain about school in our app. But I I think you all are part of the Montessori Family Alliance. You are the chapter in Peoria of the organization.
So
And
the email you sent us recently, we can share that link out.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if you're talking about the code, yeah,
Okay.
there is a coupon code that sets up a free account. I think what you want to do is do it properly as a school so that what you do is you log in, set up your account, and then put in their emails and send an invitation. So that way
Okay.
they're all bonded into the school.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. I'm going to log off.
Yep.
Everyone
Thank you,
else ready to
everybody.
say good
Thank you,
night?
Tim. All right. Good
Good
night.
night, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Good night, Lacey. Good night, Sarah. Good night, Claire. Good night, John and Kate.
Good night.
Bye.